The stars twinkled in the night sky, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding below. Earth, once a beacon of hope in the vast galaxy, now lay shrouded in darkness and despair. The year was 2157, and humanity had just experienced its greatest loss. It all began 5 years ago when the Galactic Council extended an invitation to Earth. Humans, excited by the prospect of joining an advanced interstellar community, accepted without hesitation. For months, preparations were made. The best and brightest of Earth's children were chosen to represent humanity in a grand cultural exchange program. Parents beamed with pride as they waved goodbye to their little ones, not knowing it would be the last time they'd see them alive. Millions of children, ranging from toddlers to teenagers, boarded massive spaceships bound for various planets across the galaxy. At first, everything seemed perfect. Video messages from the children showed them learning alien languages, playing with exotic creatures, and marveling at advanced technologies. Earth celebrated its successful integration into the galactic community. But then, the messages stopped. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. An eerie silence fell over the communication channels. Earth's leaders demanded answers, but the Galactic Council offered only vague reassurances and excuses. It was Dr. Emily Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist, who first uncovered the horrifying truth. Late one night, as she pored over data from deep space probes, she noticed an anomaly. Energy signatures matching those of Earth children were disappearing at an alarming rate across the galaxy. With trembling hands, she brought her findings to the United Earth government. Initial disbelief gave way to frantic investigation. Covert missions were launched, spies were deployed, and hackers worked around the clock to breach the Galactic Council's secure networks. The truth, when it finally emerged, shook humanity to its core. The Galactic Council, an organization thousands of years old, had a dark secret. They sustained their advanced civilization through a gruesome practice, harvesting the life force of young, developing species. Earth's children, with their boundless potential and vibrant life energy, were seen as a particularly rich source. As the realization dawned, Earth erupted in grief and rage. Parents collapsed in the streets, their anguished cries echoing through empty playgrounds. Leaders struggled to maintain order as riots broke out in major cities. In New York, a mother clutched her child's favorite teddy bear, tears streaming down her face as she stared at the sky. In Tokyo, a father smashed his fist through a wall, his son's baseball glove lying untouched on a nearby shelf. In Lagos, a grandmother rocked back and forth, singing a lullaby to an empty cradle. The betrayal cut deep. Humanity had reached for the stars with open arms, only to be stabbed in the back. The dream of a peaceful, united galaxy lay shattered, replaced by a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. As the initial shock subsided, a cold, steely resolve began to take its place. In labs and military bases around the world, humans started to prepare. This was no longer about joining the galactic community. This was about survival, justice, and revenge. Dr. Chen, now working tirelessly in a secret underground facility, looked up from her microscope. Her eyes, once filled with wonder at the mysteries of the universe, now burned with determination. They thought we were easy prey, she muttered to herself. They're about to learn how wrong they were. Across the planet, a similar sentiment echoed. Humanity had been pushed to the brink, but they weren't going down without a fight. The Galactic Council had awakened a sleeping giant, and retribution was coming. As Earth geared up for the greatest war in its history, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. The world had changed. Where once there were parks filled with laughter, now stood silent memorials. Schools, once bustling with young minds, were converted into research centers and training facilities. Earth was no longer just a planet. It had become a fortress, a launchpad for humanity's vengeance. In the 5 years since the Great Betrayal, as it came to be known, humanity had made incredible progress. Driven by grief and rage, scientists and engineers worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and technology. Dr. Emily Chen, now the head of Earth's Advanced Weapons Division, stood before a giant holographic display. It showed a strange-looking spacecraft, unlike anything Earth had ever built before. "This," she said to the room full of military leaders and government officials, "is the Nemesis." The ship was massive, easily dwarfing anything in Earth's previous fleet. Its hull gleamed with a material that seemed to absorb light, making it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. But its most striking feature was a large cannon-like structure that ran the length of the ship. "The Nemesis is powered by something we call the grief engine," Dr. Chen explained. "It converts our collective sorrow and anger into pure energy. The more we remember our lost children, the more powerful it becomes." General Sarah Rodriguez, a stern woman with graying hair, stepped forward. "And the weapon?" Dr. Chen's eyes glinted. "We call it the Equalizer. It can disrupt the energy fields that the Galactic Council uses to harvest life force. One shot can liberate an entire planet." A murmur of approval rippled through the room. For the first time in years, hope began to bloom. Meanwhile, in underground bunkers across the globe, soldiers trained relentlessly. They weren't just learning how to fight. They were learning how to survive in alien environments, how to operate advanced technology, and how to resist psychological warfare. Jack Thompson, a young recruit whose little sister had been among the taken, pushed himself harder than anyone. During a particularly grueling simulation, his instructor pulled him aside. "Why do you push yourself so hard, Thompson?" the grizzled veteran asked. Jack's eyes burned with intensity. "Because, sir, I want them to remember her name. I want them to remember all their names." The instructor nodded solemnly. "They will, son. They will." As Earth prepared for war, they also sought allies. Not every species in the galaxy agreed with the Galactic Council's methods. Secret envoys were sent out, making contact with rebel factions and oppressed civilizations. One such meeting took place on a small barren moon in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Captain Maria Vasquez, a skilled diplomat, sat across from Zixtal, a towering insectoid alien. "Why should we trust humans?" Zixtal chittered. "You are young, angry, possibly reckless." Maria's voice was calm but firm. "Because we have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The Council took our children. We won't stop until we've torn their entire system down." Zixtal was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he extended a clawed appendage. "The Hive Collective stands with Earth." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Slowly but surely, an alliance was forming. One united by a common enemy and a thirst for justice. Back on Earth, final preparations were underway. The Nemesis, along with a fleet of smaller but equally advanced ships, stood ready in a hidden lunar base. Millions of soldiers, each carrying the memory of a lost child, prepared to board. In a solemn ceremony broadcast to every corner of the planet, the President of the United Earth Government stood before an eternal flame, a memorial to the lost children. "Today," she said, her voice echoing across a silent world, "we take our first step towards justice. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not be broken. Today, we begin our journey home, to bring back our children, or to avenge them." As cheers erupted around the globe, the Nemesis lifted off, its grief engine humming with the combined sorrow and determination of an entire species. The hunt was on. The Galactic Council had sown the wind. Now they would reap the whirlwind. Humanity was coming, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble in anticipation. The vast emptiness of space was suddenly alive with activity. The Nemesis, Earth's flagship, led a fleet of warships through the star-studded darkness. Their destination, Silara 7, a bustling trade hub under Galactic Council control. Captain Jack Thompson stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, his eyes fixed on the swirling colors of hyperspace outside the viewscreen. 5 years of training had turned the grief-stricken young recruit into a battle-hardened officer. He wore his sister's name tag around his neck, a constant reminder of why they fought. Approaching Solara 7, Captain, the navigation officer reported. Exiting hyperspace in 3, 2, 1. The swirling colors vanished, replaced by a view of a gleaming planet surrounded by orbital stations. For a moment, all was quiet. Then, chaos erupted. Alarms blared across the Galactic Council's defense fleet. They had never expected an attack here, in the heart of their territory. By the time they scrambled their ships, Earth's fleet was already unleashing hell. "Fire the equalizer," Jack ordered, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The massive cannon on the Nemesis hummed to life, drawing power from the Grief engine. A beam of pure blue-white energy lanced out, striking the largest orbital station. Instead of an explosion, there was a ripple, like a stone dropped in a pond. When it passed, the station went dark. On board the station, confused aliens looked around. Something felt different. A young Silurian girl suddenly cried out in joy. "I can feel it," she exclaimed. "The pressure, it's gone." Similar scenes played out across the planet and other stations. The equalizer had done its job, destroying the Council's life force harvesting technology and freeing countless beings from their unseen chains. As Earth's fleet engaged the Council's defensive forces, a smaller ship broke away from the formation. Dr. Emily Chen, along with a team of specialists, headed for the planet's surface. Their mission: to gather evidence and rescue any humans they could find. The landing was rough, their ship taking fire from ground defenses. But Emily's team pushed on, making their way to a heavily guarded facility at the heart of the capital city. "Remember," Emily said as they prepared to breach the entrance, "we're here for the truth and our people. Let's make Earth proud." With a nod, her team stormed the facility. The fight was fierce but short. Years of rage-fueled training paid off as the human soldiers overwhelmed the surprise defenders. In a secure room deep underground, Emily found what they were looking for: rows upon rows of stasis pods. Her heart raced as she approached one, wiping away the frost to reveal the face inside. It was a human child, no more than 10 years old, peacefully sleeping. "We found them," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "We actually found them." Back in space, the battle raged on. The Council's ships were more advanced, but Earth's fleet fought with a ferocity that shocked their opponents. The Nemesis moved through the chaos like an avenging angel, its equalizer striking down ship after ship. On the bridge, Jack received Emily's transmission. A smile, the first in years, crossed his face. "All ships," he commanded, "initiate Phase 2. Begin evacuation of friendlies. We're bringing our children home." As Earth's ships began to dock with the defenseless stations, confusion turned to hope for many of the galaxy's oppressed species. Word spread quickly. The humans were not here to conquer, but to liberate. In the Council's central chamber on a distant world, alarms blared. The Supreme Counselor, a being of swirling energy, turned to his subordinates. "How is this possible?" he demanded. They were primitive, weak. An aide trembled as he replied, "It seems, Your Eminence, that we may have miscalculated. The humans, they're not stopping at Solara 7. Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. This is just the beginning." As the Council fell into panic, back on Solara 7, Emily cradled a newly awakened child in her arms. "You're safe now," she soothed. "We're taking you home." The battle for Solara 7 was over, but the war had just begun. Humanity had announced its return to the galactic stage not with words, but with actions that shook the very foundations of the Council's power. And they were just getting started. The news of humanity's victory at Solara 7 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On countless worlds, oppressed species looked to the stars with newfound hope. The Galactic Council, once thought invincible, had been bloodied. But the Council was far from defeated. In their hidden capital world of Zenith Prime, the Supreme Counselor called an emergency meeting. "We underestimated these humans. The Supreme Counselor's voice boomed across the grand chamber. Now we shall unleash our full might upon them. Across Zenith Prime, massive warships rose from hidden hangars. The Council had awakened its doomsday fleet, ships of unimaginable power that hadn't been used in millennia. Back on Earth, the mood was cautiously optimistic. The first wave of rescued children had been returned, reuniting families torn apart years ago. In a hospital in New Delhi, Dr. Amira Khan watched as a young boy opened his eyes for the first time since his abduction. Where am I?" the boy asked, his voice weak from years of disuse. Dr. Khan smiled gently. "You're home, Ravi. You're safe now." As heartwarming as these reunions were, Earth's leaders knew the war was far from over. In a secure bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Jack Thompson and Dr. Emily Chen briefed the United Earth government on their next move. "The Council is mobilizing its reserves," Jack explained, pointing to holographic star maps. "They're gathering a fleet unlike anything we've ever seen." Emily stepped forward. "But we've made a critical discovery. The children we rescued. Their time in stasis has changed them. They've developed abilities." A murmur ran through the assembled leaders. Emily continued, "We believe the Council's life force harvesting had an unexpected effect. These children can now manipulate energy in ways we don't fully understand yet. Are you suggesting we use these children as weapons?" a horrified diplomat asked. "No," Jack said firmly. "We're suggesting we train them to defend themselves and others. They may be our key to winning this war." As debates raged on Earth, the galactic conflict escalated. The Hive Collective, Earth's insectoid allies, launched daring raids against Council supply lines. The former slaves of the Xolthor system revolted, overthrowing their Council-backed overlords. Humanity's alliance grew with each passing day. Ships of all shapes and sizes, crewed by beings from across the galaxy, joined the Earth fleet. The Nemesis, once a lone avenger, now led an armada of hope. But the Council's doomsday fleet was on the move, their first target, the Hive Collective's homeworld. The battle was fierce. Council ships, powered by the stolen life force of countless beings, seemed almost unstoppable. The Hive's defenses crumbled under the onslaught. Just when all seemed lost, a small fleet of Earth ships burst out of hyperspace. Leading them was a new vessel, sleek and agile, named the Phoenix. At its helm stood Ravi, the boy Dr. Khan had woken, now a young man with determination burning in his eyes. "All ships, form up on the Phoenix," Ravi commanded. "Prepare to engage." As the Council ships bore down on them, Ravi closed his eyes. Energy crackled around the Phoenix, spreading to the other Earth ships. When Ravi opened his eyes again, they glowed with an otherworldly light. "Now," he shouted. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the Earth ships, slicing through the Council's seemingly impenetrable defenses. The Phoenix darted between enemy vessels, Ravi's newfound powers allowing him to predict and evade their attacks with impossible accuracy. In the span of an hour, the tide of battle had turned. The Council fleet, for the first time in eons, retreated in disarray. As the Hive Collective celebrated their salvation, Ravi received a transmission from Earth. It was Dr. Khan. "You've made us all proud, Ravi," she said, tears in her eyes. "But this is just the beginning. The Council is wounded, but not defeated. They'll be coming for Earth next." Ravi nodded solemnly. "Then we'll be ready for them, all of us." As the Phoenix set course for Earth, Ravi looked out at the star-filled vista. The children the Council had tried to exploit had become their worst nightmare. The galaxy watched and waited, knowing that the final battle for freedom was yet to come. The Earth hung in space, a blue marble wrapped in a web of defensive satellites and orbiting warships. Humanity knew the Galactic Council's attack was coming. They just didn't know when. In a secret facility beneath the Amazon rainforest, Ravi stood before a group of children and teenagers. Like him, they had been rescued from the Council's stasis pods. Like him, They had awakened with extraordinary abilities. Today, we learn to harness our powers not for revenge, but for protection, Ravi said, his voice echoing in the large training room. We are Earth's last line of defense. As Ravi began the lesson, Dr. Emily Chen watched from an observation deck. Captain Jack Thompson stood beside her, his face grim. Are we doing the right thing, Jack? Emily asked. They're just kids. Jack's hand unconsciously went to his sister's name tag around his neck. They stopped being just kids the day the council took them. Now, they're our best hope. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. A voice came over the intercom. This is not a drill. The council fleet has been detected entering the solar system. All personnel to battle stations. In space, the Nemesis led Earth's fleet to meet the oncoming threat. The void between Mars and Jupiter became a battlefield as ships from both sides clashed in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry. The Council's Doomsday Fleet lived up to its name. Their ships, powered by stolen life force, unleashed devastation on a scale humanity had never seen. Earth vessels exploded by the dozens, their crew's final screams cut short in the vacuum of space. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Admiral Sarah Rodriguez, formerly general, gritted her teeth. We can't hold them back much longer, she muttered. Where's our secret weapon? As if in answer, a shimmering portal opened in space. The Phoenix emerged, leading a fleet of smaller, sleek vessels. Each was piloted by one of the gifted children Ravi had been training. This is Phoenix Actual. Ravi's voice came over the comm. The children of Earth have arrived. What followed was unlike any battle in galactic history. The gifted children, their powers amplified by their specially designed ships, turned the tide of the fight. They moved in perfect synchronization, as if linked by an invisible bond. Ravi's ship darted between council vessels, his precognitive abilities allowing him to anticipate and counter their every move. Another child, Maya, projected massive force fields that absorbed enemy fire. Carlos, with his power over energy, drained council ships of their stolen life force, leaving them powerless and adrift. On Zenith Prime, the Supreme Counselor watched in disbelief as holographic displays showed their fleet being decimated. Impossible, he hissed. How can they wield such power? An aide, trembling, approached. Your Eminence, we've detected a massive energy buildup in the Sol system. Something is coming through. Back in Earth's orbit, a colossal wormhole tore open space itself. From it emerged ships of designs never before seen by human eyes. Leading them was a vessel that dwarfed even the Nemesis. This is Admiral Zixtal of the Galactic Alliance, a familiar chittering voice broadcast on all frequencies. We stand with Earth. Council forces, surrender or be destroyed. The Hive Collective had returned, bringing with them every species the humans had liberated. It was an armada of hope, assembled from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Caught between the children of Earth and the Galactic Alliance, the Council fleet faltered. Ship after ship surrendered or attempted to flee. On the Nemesis, Admiral Rodriguez allowed herself a small smile. Send word to Earth, she ordered. The tide has turned. We're taking the fight to Zenith Prime. As the combined fleet prepared to pursue the retreating council ships, Ravi's voice came over a private channel to the Nemesis. We did it, Captain Thompson. We protected our home. Jack, looking at the view screen where Earth shone bright and safe, nodded. We did, son. But the real battle is just beginning. Are you ready to end this once and for all? Ravi's response was firm. We've been ready for 5 years. It's time to make the Council answer for their crimes. As the fleet entered warp, bound for Zenith Prime, the galaxy held its breath. The final confrontation loomed, and the fate of countless species hung in the balance. Zenith Prime loomed before the combined fleet of Earth and the Galactic Alliance. The planet was a marvel of advanced technology, its surface covered in gleaming cities and massive energy collectors that pulsed with stolen life force. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Admiral Sarah Rodriguez surveyed the enemy's defenses. They turned the whole planet into a fortress. she muttered. Captain Jack Thompson nodded grimly. We expected nothing less. Are the teams ready? Before Sarah could answer, a transmission came through. Dr. Emily Chen's face appeared on the main screen. The children of Earth are in position, she reported from her station on the Phoenix. Ravi says they're ready to begin. Jack took a deep breath. Tell them to proceed. And Emily, keep them safe. As the transmission ended, Jack turned to Sarah. Admiral, the fleet is yours. Give us the distraction we need. With that, Jack left the bridge, heading for a small, stealthy ship docked with the Nemesis. His part in this final battle would take place on the surface of Zenith Prime itself. The space around the planet erupted into chaos as the Alliance fleet engaged the Council's defenses. Ships of all sizes clashed in a dazzling display of energy weapons and explosions. Amidst the chaos, the children of Earth made their move. Led by Ravi and the Phoenix, they formed a circle around the planet. Each child closed their eyes, focusing their unique abilities. Slowly, a shimmering field of energy began to envelop Zenith Prime. The Council's weapons fire splashed harmlessly against it, while Alliance ships passed through unhindered. On the planet's surface, alarms blared. The Supreme Counselor, a being of pure energy, raged at his subordinates. How are they blocking our defenses? Find a way through. But the Council's efforts were in vain. The children's combined power was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Taking advantage of the chaos, Jack's stealth ship slipped through the planet's defenses. With him was a team of Earth's best soldiers and a group of liberated beings from various species, all united in their desire for justice. As they landed near the Council's central citadel, Jack activated his comm. We're on the ground. Beginning infiltration now. The team fought their way through the citadel, facing advanced security systems and desperate Council guards. But years of training and the burning desire for revenge made them unstoppable. Finally, they reached the central chamber. The Supreme Counselor hovered there, surrounded by the remaining Council members. So, the Supreme Counselor's voice boomed, the primitive species thinks it can challenge us. We, who have ruled this galaxy for eons. Jack stepped forward, his voice steady. Your rule ends today. In the name of every child you've taken, every life you've destroyed, we're here to bring you to justice. The Supreme Counselor laughed, a sound like crackling energy. Justice. We are beyond your petty concepts. We are the Galactic Council. We are eternal. Suddenly, the chamber filled with a blinding light. Ravi and the other gifted children materialized, their eyes glowing with power. No, Ravi said, his voice echoing with the strength of millions. You're just bullies who prey on the weak, and we're here to stop you. Before the Council could react, the children unleashed their full power. Streams of pure energy shot from their hands, enveloping the counselors. The Supreme Counselor screamed, its form destabilizing. This is impossible, it shrieked. We harvested your life force. How can you be stronger than us? Ravi smiled sadly. Because we're not using stolen power. This is our own strength, born from our pain and our hope. In a final, blinding flash, the Council members were reduced to harmless, swirling motes of light. The children carefully contained them in special devices designed by Dr. Chen. As the light faded, Jack looked around the chamber in awe. It's over, he breathed. We actually did it. Ravi nodded, suddenly looking very tired. Yes, but this is just the beginning. Now comes the hard part, building a better galaxy. Outside, the news of the Council's fall spread quickly. Cheers erupted across the Alliance fleet. On countless worlds, oppressed beings looked to the skies with newfound hope. The galaxy was free, and humanity, once seen as primitive and weak, had led the way to a new era of justice and peace. 5 years had passed since the fall of the Galactic Council. The galaxy, once ruled by fear and oppression, was transforming. In the heart of what was once Zenith Prime, now renamed Unity, a grand meeting was taking place. The Galactic Alliance, born from the union of Earth and its allies, had gathered for its annual assembly. Representatives from thousands of worlds filled the massive chamber, their diverse forms a testament to the new era of cooperation. At the center of it all stood Ravi, now a young man. As the leader of the children of Earth and a key figure in the new galactic government, he had the respect of beings from across the stars. Friends, allies, fellow survivors, Ravi began, his voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. 5 years ago, we stood united against tyranny. Today, we stand united in peace. A cheer went up from the assembled delegates. Ravi continued, "We've made great strides. The life force harvesters have been dismantled. Countless children have been returned to their families. Worlds once stripped of resources are being restored." In the front row, Captain Jack Thompson, now Ambassador Thompson, nodded proudly. Beside him sat Dr. Emily Chen, her research into the children's abilities having revolutionized galactic medicine. "But our work is far from over," Ravi said, his tone growing serious. "There are still those who would return us to the old ways, remnants of the council who believe in their right to rule." A murmur ran through the crowd. Everyone knew of the shadowy group calling themselves the council's heirs. Their attacks, though small, were growing bolder. "We must remain vigilant," Ravi urged. "But more than that, we must show the galaxy a better way. A way of cooperation, of mutual growth and respect." As Ravi spoke, screens around the chamber lit up. They showed images from across the galaxy, former enemies working together to rebuild worlds, children of different species playing without fear, new technologies born from the free exchange of ideas. "This is what we fought for," Ravi said, his voice filled with emotion. "This is what millions gave their lives for. We owe it to them to make this new galaxy the best it can be." The assembly erupted in applause. As it died down, a small figure made its way to the podium. It was a young Solarian girl, one of the many children freed from the council's stasis pods. 5 years ago, I was a prisoner," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Today, I am free. And I want to thank the humans, and all our allies, for giving me a future." Tears flowed freely among the delegates. Jack felt Emily's hand slip into his, squeezing gently. As the assembly concluded, Ravi found himself on a balcony overlooking the city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant hues. Jack joined him, leaning on the railing. "Quite a view," he said. "Hard to believe this was once the heart of the council's power." Ravi nodded. "We've come so far. But sometimes I wonder, are we truly better than they were, wielding all this power?" Jack placed a hand on Ravi's shoulder. "The fact that you're asking that question is proof that we are. The council never doubted their right to rule. We question ourselves every day." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert from Ravi's communicator. A holographic image appeared, a distant sector of space where a council's hair ship had been spotted. Ravi sighed. "Looks like Doobie calls." Jack grinned. "Want some company? For old time's sake." As they hurried to the hangar where the Phoenix waited, Ravi felt a familiar surge of energy. The power that had once been a curse, used to harm, was now a gift used to protect. The Phoenix lifted off, streaking into the darkening sky. As stars bloomed around them, Ravi felt a sense of peace. The galaxy wasn't perfect, but it was better. And as long as there were those willing to stand up for what was right, it would continue to improve. The children of Earth, once victims, had become guardians, and they would ensure that no child on any world would ever suffer as they had again. As the Phoenix jumped to light speed, the future stretched out before them, uncertain, challenging, but full of hope.